Good evening, everyone. So we are their Team 9 meteorologist, Nathan Chutt, joining you for this edition of Nate at 8. And coming up, we are going to talk about the snow, which is starting to take hold across the area with that transition from rain to snow. Then bitterly cold temperatures will follow going into tomorrow morning. And just in general, it's going to be bitterly cold for your Thursday. And from there, while we'll see the snow taper off going into the latter part of Thursday, it is a short break as we are going to be tracking some more rounds of snow for Friday into Saturday. So it's just an onslaught here of some rounds of snow coming our way. We're going to start off looking at those temperatures, which again is key with that precipitation type. They're starting to drop off. And now is that period of time between 8-10 o'clock that temperatures are dropping off drastically. Notice the difference that we're currently seeing looking towards the northern panhandle and towards the I-77 corridor from those temperatures mid 30s to upper 20s, dropping off quickly here in a matter of a couple of hours. Temperatures are plummeting, and it's that rapid drop in temperatures that we have to watch, even outside of snow. Just the fact that our roads are saturated from the rain that we've had going throughout the day and continuing here into this evening, that as we see our temperatures rapidly drop like this before crews have a chance to get out and treat these roads, you can get that thin layer of ice developing on these roads. Even outside of snow, we could still see some ice developing here quickly as these temperatures are rapidly dropping. So something to watch for here over the next few hours. And of course, keep in mind that bridges, overpasses will be the first to freeze. Keep that in mind. And when we mapped out those temperatures, again, this is on par with the temperature forecast. So we're seeing those temperatures drop between 8-10 o'clock. Notice again, there's our sharp drop off across the area. And then from there, we're further dropping into the 20s, going into the second half of the night, and then into the teens by tomorrow morning. So first, surface to watch now leading up to 10 o'clock, bridges, overpasses. Of course, they're cooled from both sides of the road, right? There's not the ground on the other side of that road to help insulate it. It's cooled from two sides, meaning it's going to be the first to freeze. Watch bridges and overpasses now leading up to 10 o'clock. And then after that, as we are extending up not only around 10, but even going up to midnight here, just in general, as we get closer to 10 and on, start to watch even our roads as they can become slick as well. Now, of course, on top of the fact that we could deal with that layer of ice developing on these roads, of course, we are talking about some snow as well. And we're starting to see that transition from rain to snow encompass across much of the area. We're seeing that rain snow line setting up now right around the northern panhandle. And as we get closer towards 9-10 o'clock, we'll see this here within the hour. Likely it'll be with all snow then across the area. So here shortly, it's going to be all snow, that our precipitation type that we'll be dealing with. We look into some locations in the region, we're already picking up a little snow accumulation. You can see that into Tuscarawas County. You can see there that dusting of snow. Still see some grass through it, but evidence there, we're seeing some snow accumulate into Tuscarawas County. And the same story into Cambridge as well. You can see some white there on the grass. Roads still looking okay, but of course, again, it can be deceiving, right? Still can get some slick spots developing on those roads. Even though they may look clear, you can still get some ice developing on those roads. Road conditions in looking at I-70 from Morristown to Bridgeport, you can see where we've just now starting to see that transition to some snow, less of that snow accumulation there. I-70 is State Route 7, Bridgeport. You can see a lot more grass. But what we just saw into Tuscarawas and Guernsey County just gives us a good preview of what's then going to translate into our area here early on tonight. And keep in mind, again, the snow just continues to fall as we go throughout the night. So we're not seeing this snow taper off here shortly. We'll see more of this snow build back into the area as we go throughout the night. And we can at times, while it can be a pretty narrow window of an area, even get some fairly persistent heavier bands of snow as well. So it is something we're going to have to continue to monitor, that there is that potential for some of us that, we're talking more than that coating to an inch for some locations that could pile up even possibly more than a few inches. So it's going to be more localized, but there is that potential again for tonight with some of these snow bands that can set up what we call streamers off of the lakes that we can see set up into our area where we can deal with some more snow accumulations, and plenty enough. Even that coating to an inch, 2 inches that the vast majority of us will see is still plenty enough that will cause some slick road conditions. Again, on top of already developing that layer of ice that we can see on our roads here early on tonight. So we jump into Futurecast. There's a look at our snow. As I mentioned again, notice that the snow showers will be persistent as we go through the course of the night. We'll see this occasionally into tomorrow morning, and likely even some snow showers lingering for the morning into the early afternoon hours Thursday. Now, additional snow accumulations for the daytime tomorrow do look very light, likely less than an inch of additional snow accumulation. A lot of the accumulating snow is going to be more for tonight into tomorrow morning, less so for the daytime tomorrow. Any additional accumulation does look light. But again, for tonight, we can pile up those coatings of snow pretty quickly. And then there's our break in that snow that we'll see for Thursday night. And then the following round of some snow likely moving into the area on Friday. Now, in terms of snow accumulations, you can see that range. It can be anywhere from around a coating to 3 inches, and where a lot of us end up. I know that's quite a large range, but that's where some locations end up less than an inch, and as you can see, some locations get over a couple of inches. It's hard to pinpoint precise areas. Typically will likely trend a little lower right along the Ohio River, and those could be locations that get more of that coating to an inch. Outside of that, I think the best odds to pile up 2 to 3 or more inches of snow is going to be north of I-70. So watch looking into Columbiana County ultimately has the best chance to pick up 3 inches of snow, but we could see totals exceed 2 inches for more locations north of I-70. But coating to 3 is likely the range where a lot of us are going to end up as we do extend into tomorrow morning. I still have to watch if we get some heavier bands of snow to set up. We can see some locally higher amounts, but that's going to be a much more isolated scale. And ultimately, really impacts to watch for is going to be those slippery road conditions developing here as we extend, even likely before midnight. We'll see these develop. So now's the time where we want to use caution, right? We're developing those slick spots right now as the temperatures are falling below freezing. We'll watch then our roads just becoming slick in general, on top of not only dealing with the potential for some ice on these roads developing now over the next few hours, the next couple of hours, I should say, but then we can start to see some snow accumulation on top of that overnight, and that causes those slippery road conditions, and possibly at times even more hazardous road conditions overnight. Those roads then likely remain slick for tomorrow morning, and from there we'll see a further improvement as we go through tomorrow. But I don't anticipate tomorrow is a drastic improvement. Why? It's just so cold. Temperatures teens, and I think tomorrow we can struggle to even get in the 20s. When temperatures are that cold, we do not get a drastic improvement in road conditions. So roads are still likely slick tomorrow morning, and even by midday in the afternoon, I would still say at least some slick spots linger for the entirety of tomorrow. I don't foresee a drastic improvement in road conditions for Thursday just because of how cold it's going to be. Again, temperatures teens to really struggling to get in the 20s. And when temperatures are that cold, you're going to see that we're going to struggle to see the big improvement in road conditions. So I get questions about this a lot in terms of, are we going to get snowbird alerts? What about snowbird alerts? Well, do my best here to try to give an idea of what I think with snowbird alerts, but we're already getting some. And we've already had some, but I even before that coming in this evening, I anticipate likely numerous delays, closures. I think there certainly can still be some schools that are having class tomorrow. So I hesitate to put widespread, but I think a lot of area schools are likely going to end up delayed, if not closed for tomorrow morning. We're going to deal with likely a lot of those snowbird alerts coming in. Again, already dealing with some, likely a lot coming in for tomorrow morning. So our snow timeline, it impacts again to repeat all of this, where snow transition from rain to snow, that transitioning, and it's occurring right now. Some locations still lingering with that rain snow line right around the northern panhandle, but here likely even before 10 o'clock within the next hour, it's going to transition to snow across the area. Watch for the slippery road conditions tonight going into Thursday morning, and still some slick spots even into tomorrow afternoon and evening. It's going to be more of a gradual improvement, especially on these side roads likely as we go through tomorrow, unfortunately, with as cold as it's going to be. In terms of accumulations, a lot of us are ending up with a coating to 3 inches. And the best chance to see 3 inches of snow is in Columbiana County. The best chance to see some of those lighter amounts coating to an inch is likely right along the Ohio River. That's going to be the best odds there in terms of accumulations. A lot of us, again, coating 3 inches. I think a lot of us really more of that inch to 2 as where a lot of us could end up. within that range. Some locally higher amounts can't be ruled out. We can see some snow bands set up, those more narrow, heavier bands of snow. We can see those develop overnight, so it is something we'll continue to monitor. It's one of those things, just like a thunderstorm in the summertime, it's really impossible to predict where and if it sets up as we go in the overnight hours, but it is something we'll continue to monitor. We could skew those amounts higher on a local scale, but widespread amounts aren't going to be higher than that coating to 3 inches across the area. But locally, we'll still monitor the potential for 3 or more inches of snow on a localized scale where it can get a little more intense. But again, that's if we see it set up tonight, it's something we'll keep an eye on. And of course, I'll keep you updated as we extend throughout this evening on Nathan Shutt News 9 or in Shutt WTOV, or coming up for News 9 at 10 on Fox 9. News 9 tonight at 11. There's our cold Thursday. Like I mentioned, temperatures, they're struggling to even get out of the teens tomorrow. And there's wind chills. It's going to feel even colder. Yes, it'll feel close to the negative single digits tomorrow morning. It's going to feel like single digits likely throughout a lot of the day. Just bitterly cold Thursday. Friday into Saturday, not as cold, but certainly not warm. High temperatures, mid-lower 30s. Our next round of snow moves back in the area. Same thinking then, likely more light accumulations, but plenty enough still for some slick roads developing that we'll have to watch for later Friday and then continuing throughout Saturday. Back to some flurries Sunday, but it is cold again on Sunday. So there's at least some slick spots or just some slick side roads could linger again on Sunday with temperatures that cold. Again, it's hard to see a drastic improvement in clearing some of the lingering, ice on these roads when temperatures are that cold, because the product the crews are placing down is just not as effective when temperatures are in the teens. And that's the issue we can arise for tomorrow. And again, for Sunday, is that there's not a drastic improvement in road conditions, that we still can get some of those slick spots to linger. Some of these side roads can still be slick, just lingering throughout the day Thursday and again on Sunday. By Monday, then potential for more snow showers, and this cold just remains in place as we extend through the middle of next week. It's not until next Friday into Saturday we can see temperatures climb back above freezing. We may get just above freezing on Saturday, but in general, as you can see, there is nothing like what we had earlier this morning in sight in terms of those 40s. Nothing of the sort in sight. We're settling into a colder stretch of weather here over not only the next week, but likely even the next 10 days. So those temperatures we had in the 40s, or highs in the 40s earlier today, is the warmest temperature here for the foreseeable future as we look ahead going into the following weekend. It is for a lot of these days much colder with respect to what we had earlier today. Sherry says, thank you for doing this. You are so welcome joining us on YouTube this evening. Thank you for tuning in. Austin, thank you for joining as always. Good evening. Today at noon felt very chilly. I believe that it's either sleeting or snowing in Wetzel. And yeah, it should start to transition right there in Wetzel County, right along that rain snow line. So maybe get a little more of a mixed bag of precipitation right now, Austin, but it will be all snow here shortly for you. And for all of us here in the Ohio Valley, we're transitioning to snow here shortly within the hour. But that rain snow line setting up right now, right along that northern panhandle. Thanks for the update. You are welcome, Renee. Thank you as always for tuning in. Mandy School Drive is going to be fun tomorrow. May not have it. May not, Mandy, depending on the school district. May not. I think a lot of schools are ending up delayed. And really, because of how cold it's still going to be, I could see a lot of delays turning into cancellations as well. So we'll probably have more cancellations than delays for tomorrow, honestly. It's a situation where, yeah, crews can get out and improve the roads some, but those side roads, right? That's always those side roads could still be slick and just linger. It can be harder to clear some of that lingering ice on these roads going throughout the course of tomorrow. So a lot of these delays are probably going to be cancellations for tomorrow. Thank you for the weather report. You're welcome, Carol. Thank you. Yay for snowbird. Christine is a fan of the snowbird. Yeah, a lot of snowbird alerts, I think, for tomorrow. David asking, what about black ice? So yeah, that's the thing about tonight as well. So the first thing to watch for right now, temperatures are falling below freezing. So the first issue that we're running into is that potential for black ice, that ice developing on these roads, just due to the fact, we've had that, time between once the rain transitions to snow, and then crews can get out and start laying down salt product to treat these roads. That gap between that time is the biggest concern, because with this rapid drop in temperatures, we can get that rapid freeze. So we have to watch here now for these slick spots developing across the area before crews can get out and treat these roads. So just be careful, right? Crews couldn't get out and treat earlier because the rain is just going to wash it off the road. But that's the issue with these rain to snow events at first here, especially with a rapid drop in temperatures like tonight. You can get that layer of ice. So even if you're not seeing the snow covered road, you could still run into some areas of ice in these roads. Keep in mind, bridges, overpasses are the first to freeze as they're cooled from two sides, right? Watch bridges and overpasses, especially right now, but in general, start to watch for slick spots developing. And then on top of that, yes, some snow on top of that as we go overnight into tomorrow morning. Gregorio is asking about snow accumulations, and right along the Ohio River could be the lowest. So, right, if you live right along the Ohio River, your accumulations could be down closer to a coating to an inch. A lot of us are likely picking upwards of at least an inch, if not a couple inches of snow. And then I think the best potential for 3 inches of snow or more is in Columbiana County. And we'll still have to watch. We can get some of those sneaky, which are really almost impossible to depict where exactly if it sets up, but there is potential tonight for some of those heavier snow bands setting up, just like in comparison to what we're talking about in the summer with our thunderstorms, bubbling up in the afternoon. Where, if, when, right, is almost impossible, unfortunately, to say, but it is something else that we'll continue to watch for. That would be more localized, not widespread. But if we're dealing with more than 2 to 3 inches on a local scale, it could be from those heavier snow bands. And again, once we see it set up, we can get the alert out to that those locations can end up with some higher amounts. But right now, widespread amounts, again, anywhere from a coating to 3 inches. Best chance for those high end amounts towards Columbiana County, lower end amounts likely right along the Ohio River as the range of those snow accumulations that we see overnight, on top of, again, the potential for that layer of ice that's currently developing on these roads. So got to use some caution right now as those temperatures are falling below freezing, and then continue. Why want to allow yourself a lot of time to get to your destination tomorrow morning, as roads can still be quite slick tomorrow morning. And the other interesting thing about tonight too is that when the temperatures are dropping into the 20s to teens, what we see is what we call higher snow ratios. So it just means that we don't need a whole lot of actual total precipitation to produce a lot of snow. And this will yield more once these temperatures are colder when it snows. This is when you get more of that powdery, dry, lighter snow, not that wet, heavy snow. That's when we see that wet, heavier snow is the snow that we see fall when temperatures are closer to that freezing mark. But when temperatures are falling into the teens, you get more of that dry, powdery, fluffy snow. Makes it easier to clear off. You can also, if you got a powerful enough leaf blower, and the neighbors don't mind if you're doing it early in the morning, you could just blow it right off your car, right? Or you could blow the snow around a lot easier. But yeah, maybe neighbors might not appreciate that if it's a 5 o'clock in the morning. But I'm sure a lot of you might already be doing that. But it's that type of snow that can be cleared that way. This will be much more of that lighter snow that we'll see fall overnight. Mandy says if Steubenville cancels, that will be amazing. Austin, I know Steubenville is one of those that don't cancel as often. Maybe at least get a delay there, Mandy, for tomorrow. But yeah, I think a lot of schools will end up. I know some were already delayed, and a lot are likely going to end up canceled for tomorrow. Dean says, we appreciate the live update. Do you think the worst snowstorm is yet to come? That's an interesting question, Dean. Well, thank you. I appreciate you for tuning in. The worst snowstorm yet to come. That's an interesting question. I will say that overall, the pattern that we've been thinking into our winter forecast for this winter was we saw that, real cold December. We were thinking that this winter would be more front loaded, meaning that, we're just dealing with more of the wintry conditions earlier in the season than the latter part of the season. And there is still that potential that, obviously we're in a cold spell right here going into the second half of January, but overall that we could start to see more temperatures moderate a little bit more into February, and we can get more of an earlier spring than what we typically do. And we'll see if that still is coming to fruition. That's the thinking we've been having with this winter, is that we could see more of an early spring instead of winter just lingering as it has of recent years into the latter part of the winter, early spring. It has been we've had wintry conditions lingering later into the season. So we'll see if we can't sneak in an earlier spring this year. And that being said, it is possible the worst has been behind us. Now, our big blockbuster snowstorms, a lot of them have been later into the season. So it's a tough question to answer yes or no to, but I I think arguments for either side, right? The fact that we could see a warmer pattern later into the season would mean that the odds that our worst snowstorm could very well have been behind us. On the other flip side, then that typically, historically, we've had some blockbuster snowstorms later into the season. So if we still get that cold, still holding on to a little cold lining up with that precipitation, that we could end up with a bigger snowstorm into February and February, March, later on into the season. But I think right now I would probably lean more towards the worst is either upon us going throughout this coming week, even though I don't see real much of a blockbuster coming our week. But we have, these rounds of some liner accumulations that certainly can add up here over the next week, but it could very well be behind us. So I would say, I know that's a long answer, but sorry for the long-winded answer. But I would say that I think the worst snowstorm could be behind us. Could be behind us. We'll see. Now that they say that, it probably right. It probably won't be. It's hard question to answer, but I appreciate it. That was a good question. Thank you, Dean. Jonathan, what about the bridge board or any schools in Ohio in terms of closures and delays? I'm sure a lot in Ohio, in West Virginia. I'm sure a lot will be coming in. Now, if the latest for our snowbird alerts, you can tune in to WTOV9, Fox 9, and you'll see the snowbird alerts on the screen. Also, WTOV9.com. Head over there and you can see the latest snowbird alerts. And I know there's already at least a handful. The list might have grown since we've been here on Nate at 8. But last time I checked here before we went live, it was a handful of schools that were already on delays. And again, I think a lot of those delays that we're seeing now will change over to cancellations for tomorrow morning. Michael says, I hope Belmont gets at least 2-hour delay. And I think you got good odds for that. Again, I think you've got good odds for even some closures for tomorrow morning. I think, we'll deal with a lot. And in terms of snowbird alerts, anticipating numerous, right? And a lot of snowbird alerts coming in. And I think a lot of those delays that we're initially seeing turning into cancellations for tomorrow. That's my best take on it. And by the time we get into Friday, maybe still some delays, honestly, but likely have more areas having school. And then, then comes the weekend, and we'll see. Maybe Monday into Tuesday, maybe Tuesday, we'll deal with more snowbird alerts. So quite a bit of an active pattern here, but a lot of what we're dealing with the here as we go throughout this next week, a lot of this does look like it's pretty numerous rounds of snow showers, but a lot of it looks to be we're kind of adding to these snow totals little by little, if you will. So a lot of these are more minor snow accumulations instead of a big blockbuster, high snow producing system. A lot of what we're seeing, it's like rapid fire, these systems, but likely with some light accumulations for a lot of these rounds here over the next week. But it'll certainly pile up. And again, even these light amounts with temperatures as cold as they're going to be for a lot of this stretch, it's enough to cause some headaches as temperatures as they're in the teens. And even next week, probably some single digits in the mix, that it's a lot harder for crews to be able to clear these roads with temperatures that cold, unfortunately. So that's another thing to take consideration for tomorrow. And that's why I say slick spots, the likely, at least that will linger. I think some of our side roads can still be slick, just going to linger as we go throughout Thursday. Before Friday, once we get closer to freezing, that's when we'll see a further improvement. But of course, then there comes more snow going into Saturday. So by the time we'll see a further improvement, I think in road conditions, the temperatures do jump up into Friday afternoon. Our next round of snow moving into Saturday. Dean, Michael, thank you. Thank you. Joe, you are so welcome. Thank you. Thank you all again for tuning in. I appreciate it. As always, hope everyone has a wonderful and safe night. We're going to continue to keep an eye on conditions as we go through the night and keep you posted on any updates on the snow accumulation impacts as we extend into tomorrow morning. And again, for the latest snowbird alerts, you can always tune in with me coming up News 9 at 10 on Fox 9, News 9 tonight at 11 on WTOV9, or head over to WTOV9.com for those latest snowbird alerts and for more updates as we go throughout this evening outside of the newscast. I'll be posting them there on Nathan Shutt News 9 or on X in Shutt WTOV. So you catch me on Facebook or on X. I'll post more updates as we go throughout the evening. I hope everyone has a wonderful, safe evening. Have a great night. I'll see all of you coming up. News 9 to 10 on Fox 9, News 9 tonight at 11. And as always, for that next edition of Nate at 8. Have a great night.